What's going on, guys? Welcome to our review for the Cloverfield Paradox, which kind of just came out of nowhere. I'm
Yeah.
joined with Will.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This kind of blindsided us because the original release date was like April 20th or
Yeah.
28th or something.
Yeah, and then just kind of like, I think today it was rumored that there was going to be like a trailer for it and then possibly an announcement of like a release date. But then they were just like, nope, it's coming out tonight. We're like, oh, shit,
Yeah.
okay.
They just kind of said, yep, once the game's over, it's up. And it hit like, I want to say 9:30, 10:30. And
Yeah.
I said, cool, the Eagles won. Time to watch this movie I've been waiting for.
Yeah, so I guess this is going to be our non-spoiler review. We'll definitely be doing like a spoiler review discussion thing at some other point. But Will, what were your first impressions of the movie?
Before I gave it a second and thought about it, I actually think it's really, really good. I think one of the strong suits of the Cloverfield movies is that they all, aside from the little interconnected things, they all work pretty well as independent films, like independent stories. I mean,
Yeah.
with very unique tones, and this one is no different. It's definitely like a sci-fi movie, a pretty sci-fi kind of thriller movie, and I really liked it. What did you think about it?
It kind of reminded me of Event Horizon, if you're familiar with that movie.
Yeah.
It's like this
Yeah, it
creepy,
does.
like sci-fi thing. It's like on a space station. Like you don't really know, like what's going on. There's all this like, it has like a supernatural kind of like otherworldly quality to it, I guess. Before we continue, I should probably like tell, I guess, like a brief plot summary of what happens. So basically, there's astronauts up on a space station, the International Space Station, because all the astronauts are from different countries, and essentially they're trying to figure out the particle accelerator because there's like a energy crisis on Earth, and essentially they're gonna run out of energy within like 5 years, so they have to figure this out. And that's kind of where our story begins, and things kind of go wrong from there. So
Yeah, there is this isn't really a spoiler. It's just the energy is basically that they're testing is they're using it based off a particle accelerator, like I think a hadron super collider or something like that. So yeah, that, and then a situation occurs. There's an original summary and that says they meet up with another space station, and I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's different. It's very different from the initial summary that we got.
yeah, definitely. So I guess we can move into like our kind of positives about the film. So my positives were that I loved the cast. I had known like who was in the cast, but I didn't know how they were gonna play out with their characters. I liked how all of them represented a different country, like I mentioned, because it kind of gave them all like a really like unique personality and stuff. I also liked the tension and stuff too. There were some really tense scenes and tense moments in the movie, and it kept you guessing as to like what's really going on. And overall, I think that it did have enough kind of connective tissue to not only explain some things of what happened in the first Cloverfield movie, but also move the plot forward. What did you like about the movie and positives?
I'm kind of with the same boat with you. I really, really like the cast. I was surprised when I first saw it because it was 90% actors I've heard of, like not huge names, but they were all just about all of them were actors that I was like familiar with to some extent. So I think the cast was strong. I think the story was a really, really interesting one because, like you said, it does kind of keep you on your toes. I was like screaming and freaking out while I was watching the movie. Like I actually felt my heart race. There are really solid moments of just good tension that really kind of grabs you, and it does keep you guessing. And I'm guessing like what's gonna happen next. And I'll say this: it's not really a predictable movie, which is good. But it's also kind of like once you see it, you're like, okay, I get it. But I think it works and it succeeds at what it does and telling a story. Also, I really like the effects here, and the music kind of adds to it too. But I did really like the effects because you would think for a movie that appears on Netflix, the effects wouldn't be that good, but like this and heck, even Bright to an extent, look good. They're good looking movies. So you want to get into cons now, kind of the things that we didn't like without spoiling it?
Yeah, I guess the only things that I didn't like was that it felt like this movie created more questions regarding the overall universe, like the whole timeline, where this takes place, and kind of things like that. Beyond that, I'm trying to think. I don't really have any negatives about it. Maybe, like, I wish it was longer, but that's not really a con. It's like, yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
It's not even like a bad longer. Like, I wish there was more. Like, I want more of this universe. And I'm with you on that one. There's a plot point that we discussed earlier that is a spoiler, and I'm not going to explain it. All I'm saying is that something is brought up in the middle of the movie that gets resolved at the end, and then you look back at what happened earlier, and you're like, oh, well, that was so easy. Why didn't you just do that?
Yeah.
So it was that, and like you said, the timeline thing, because we do get actual dates of events in like the marketing and promotional material for this movie, so we kind of have an idea of when and where this is set. And so if you follow the franchise and like have been looking up information and stuff, or at least remember the other two movies, it makes you wonder, like, okay, so like when does this all happen?
Yeah.
And that was one thing I'll say I don't like, because the first Cloverfield was my introduction to J.J. Abrams as a director, because I didn't watch Lost. And once I had listened to him talk about the whole mystery box thing, which he likes to do in his movies, it makes me kind of hate it. Because what it does is, it's like, yeah, is to keep people invested. Yeah, but what it does is it creates like a lot of questions that like are almost irritating, because you know they won't get answered. They'll just only create more questions. It's like the Abrams paradox.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But other than that, like, they're not gonna make me hate the movie, though. They're just like minor gripes, and that's all. Yeah. Everything else, I still had a really good time with the movie.
Yeah, definitely. I guess with that being said, we can kind of move on to our final thoughts and rating. So, in summary, I guess I enjoyed it. It was kind of what I was expecting, but at the same time, it did a lot of things that I wasn't expecting, especially with the whole aspect of it connecting to the first movie. I didn't even think that was going to be a thing. I thought it was more so connect to the aliens that we saw in 10 Cloverfield Lane, because it was like, the astronauts. I thought it was going to kind of explain how the aliens got to Earth, like in between the two movies, but it ended up tying into the first movie more. So I liked that. But I will say that, in summary, my review probably would be, I think I'm floating between like an 8 and an 8.5 overall on this movie.
Yeah. And
I definitely can't wait to see Overlord, which we know is confirmed to be in the Cloverfield universe. It's set during World War II, though. And then I'd like to see a follow-up to this movie, if they ever do one. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. Initially, like, when I was on the high of the movie, before I had a chance to kind of sit down and talk with you about it, like, right out the gate, I was like, this is a 9. It got knocked off because of that, it got knocked off a point because of that one kind of dumb thing in the middle. That once you see it, like, you'll get it, it'll click. But it's like, because of the timeline thing, it knocks it down like another half. So I'm with you, floating between like an 8 and an 8.5. I still really, really like this movie.
Yeah.
And I really like what it does. And I've been waiting legit a decade. Because I remember in 2008 watching Cloverfield in theaters for the first time, and like going online and trying to find details, and I loved it. And now we're 10 years later, and we finally get something that connects back to that. And so I want to see more of what they're going to do and how they're going to mess around with Overlord and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been speculating about this movie on HN for like the better part of a year now. Just figure out when is it going to come out, what is it going to be, etc. But now that it's finally out, it's like, wow, it's here. It's kind of surreal, but we'll definitely have more videos to talk about it, because there is a lot to kind of break down in the entire movie.
Yes, there is.
What it means for the whole universe. But I think that is going to wrap up this review, so like, comment, subscribe. Go check it out right now. It is on Netflix if you have it, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Thank you guys again for checking this video out. If you want to get even more updates from us, check out our social media platforms, our website for news and editorials, and if you want to see our content improve and help us out, donate to us on our Patreon and you can get exclusive rewards.